Okay.
especially when chickens are involved.
Meeting will come to order. Roll call. Amy,
Here.
Lisa,
Yes.
Zach, Ashley,
Here.
Adam, good to have you here, Chief. Nate, oh, yep, here.
Nate, we need to get a big sign. I'm sorry. Is it
For the
Or
third
do.
meeting, I'll have it.
Sounds good.
So,
complex?
minutes from our last meeting will be available at our next meeting. And so we'll move on to old business, animal control ordinance changes. And we discussed these last time and decided to table the discussion. And in general, we agreed to the last four. Did, on those last four, does anyone have any further thoughts on that? Some of it is just rearranging
Mhm.
the Animal
That's-
Control
it
Appeals
sounded
Board,
fine.
was moved to the end. The other one was defining serious injury, which can affect whether or not to classify a 3 or a 4. And there was discussion as to whether we should, the effects of that. And that's why, so has anybody come up with some ideas on that, sort of further discussion? I looked through several ordinances and none of them look quite like ours. Cedar Rapids is pretty good, but none of them look quite like ours. And Amy, you have a handout here on levels of bites.
Mhm.
No. And so I would think that anything, like we could specify like a deep puncture, because like Ashley's daughter was not a deep puncture.
Yeah.
That was a shallow puncture. This little boy's wounds were deep punctures. So I would almost classify a level 4. I mean, that goes into more of not broken skin. But it's
Right.
an actual deep puncture that requires medical attention and surgery and or
Right.
surgery and stitches, and that way, because having a level 4 with it just being a broken bone or death, that
Or
doesn't
substantial
prevent that.
life-threatening
Right,
injuries.
and
yeah.
that doesn't prevent that dog from doing it again.
Yeah.
No, it,
And, because how often, I mean, a dog's not gonna break a bone very often.
No.
I mean, it's gotta be pretty bad. They're gonna do
the thing
surface.
is, the thing is with level 4, we've pretty much euthanized that dog. That dog is gonna be put down now. So, the only reason that I would be, hold off just a little bit about making too many blanket things just automatically going into level 4 would be, what are the consequences if we have a level 3 dog? And it's right on the cusp, and the people are taking all the provisions and everything they're supposed to. If that dog even comes close to engaging in level 3 behavior, we've got in our thing that is one of the level 4 qualifications. They are now a level 4. They are not getting a second chance at that. So if these people are not taking, like we had a level 3 on Main Street years ago, and she was not taking that seriously, and that stupid dog got out and took off a number of times and finally just got him put down. I mean, the thing with our consequences for a level 3 dog, that should be enough to serve notice that these people have got a dangerous animal. If they need to keep this animal, there's a lot of things that can be followed through, and that could be the city insisting on their homeowners stepping up, so they have got liability that might take it off the
But
cities.
if you have a dog that's already done very serious damage and has already killed another dog, why should that dog be classified as a level 3?
Because that dog, the
Because-
death of that dog was not reported. That was not really
I know it wasn't
something.
reported, but.
Right, and in light of that, you've got a different thing. If you're looking at the bite itself from what we're looking at, then that should still be a level 3. But Yeah, these,
I don't know, it tore into his
And it went after
muscle.
his sister first and
Yes.
then bit him.
Yes,
Yeah,
and
they
it
didn't
tore
take
into
it to
his
the
muscle.
doctors, which,
Yeah.
they didn't go to the doctor?
no,
Neither of them? This severe, okay, if it's this severe, yeah. Medical treatment definitely should, that shouldn't be a precursor for every time you go have a doctor, look at a dog bite. Does that determine the severity?
That
That
should,
was ridiculous, well, no, because if people are over paranoid about whether the kid's gonna get an infection or something or whatever, no, just because they've got a doctor bill shouldn't make that dog a level 4.
no, but
That's-
it depends on the severity of the bite.
Of course
Just
it
like-
does.
Just like it has shallow punctures, it has multiple shallow punctures, then it has your deep punctures, which would be very serious wounds.
Right.
And
Yeah.
death. I mean, those are your steps. I mean, I think we do need to classify and have more of what a
Specific.
serious injury is, so that when Corey goes to this place,
And
he
he
can look
looks.
up, okay, are they gonna need medical attention? Yes. Did they rip the skin? Is it a deep puncture wound or is it a shallow puncture wound?
So,
I
on
mean,
this,
that gives him more guidelines.
Absolutely, and I
We
agree.
can't just continue with just a vague level 4 serious injury.
well,
did-
on that particular incident, did you get, did they, want medical attention? Were all of these things consistent with a very severe?
So that's
Right?
so that's where like I obviously don't investigate every dog bite, right? So
Right.
the officer will investigate it, and then I read a report and look at photos.
Mm.
And so one of the questions I'll ask is, did they receive medical attention? So when they say no, generally
Then it
speaking,
can't be that serious.
if somebody doesn't take their child to go see a
That's my
doctor,
knee-jerk reaction on this.
it couldn't have been that bad of an injury. I mean, a photo can look horrible,
Right.
Right.
but in person maybe it didn't look that bad. So those are the things that we have to weigh.
But the thing is, we don't want you guys to be put in a position of being paramedics on every call. Because, I mean, judgments, and, we don't want it to be too broad that you have to base out of. But,
the changes that we've kind of agreed to, we changed level 3 to a bite or physical injury and moved aggressively
Bites to a level
to
4.
aggressive,
So
to
like,
4.
for example, that dog's
Yeah.
behavior,
Yeah.
it kept going after,
Yeah.
which is aggressively biting,
So that would change, that
think
would
that
have changed
helps.
him to a 4 right now.
Yeah, because
would've made a difference.
a dog that just snips and bites somebody
Yeah.
is different than a dog that
Right.
pursues.
Goes after somebody
Unprovoked.
unprovoked.
Yeah.
I mean, I think unprovoked needs to be in there too.
Yeah.
Other than just aggressively.
and off of their
Because-
property.
Yeah,
Because
I mean,
if
a bite that's
they're
through
on
a
their-
fence in their property is different than the dog getting out of the property and chasing
And
a
that's-
child or a
that's
person
in
or.
it.
And that's already in,
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's in the
that's a
code.
change, yeah. Yep. But I think we need to also list unprovoked. And,
It is.
oh, unprovoked aggressively, yeah,
Yep.
okay.
So it's in there. Knowing that
And
That
we
is
have,
in there.
and we have the or.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
it's not, it doesn't have to do both.
Yeah,
You have an or, so for legalese, it can be either or one.
well, it's
Obviously.
not on here, so we need to add that then.
what is it that you guys want to see
Unprovoked or aggressive.
in writing that's going to really call out to you that, okay, this would be the difference between 3 or 4? Is there something that we could
help you.
hallmark?
So the easiest thing for us, and it's impossible for every situation,
Absolutely.
but for the enforcement side of things, the more defined or the more cut and dry something
Right.
is, it's easier for us to check, yep, meets that, check, and then we push ahead.
The problem I have with just relegating things to level 4 is that's almost automatic euthanasia.
Well, and it is. It's a
And
requirement.
that's why I'm thinking level 3, if we had people that we gave them a little more wiggle room to be able to get the dog out of town or be able to comply with everything. Some states actually go ahead and they have used criminal offenses for violating, not restraining that level 3 dog.
Yeah, so Iowa, Dogs are under the state code or chapter 351. And so that spells out the owner's liability.
Okay,
For
and
the
that's
dog?
minimal, huh?
No, I mean,
Considered
an
property.
owner is, yeah, the dog is considered property under Iowa code if it has a collar. If it doesn't have a collar, it's fair game. Obviously not in town, but, with the property, you're liable for that animal's
Right.
behavior, specified within the code. Financially, you are responsible for it. And so, I don't know if there's anything that the commission or the city could define that, would increase the penalty for that
Right.
owner.
So if that dog was caught without the proper level 3 restraints, then the owner could be fined.
Yeah, and we
Should-
would,
should
and that's
would.
what we do, and that's how our code's written. So if they don't, so say I classified a level 3, they don't appeal it, their time expires. When I come back to do a recheck, if they haven't done those things, then I issue the citation for them being in violation of that ordinance. And so then that's a fine. And then obviously if they keep doing it, it goes to court. And what would generally happen after the fact is we would probably ask a judge for an order that orders
Removes
it.
it,
And
okay.
if they don't do it, then the dog needs to be euthanized.
Well, you don't even have to go that far. As soon as they're in violation of anything that we've told them that they have to do, our fourth one says they automatically become level 4.
Well, I think
If
if
they're
I
in violation.
don't have the code sitting in front of me, but what I think that means though is they have to engage in level 3 behavior.
Right,
It
Yeah.
has to have a separate act
right.
to be classified as level 4, not just not being in compliance. So it has to do another bite.
So it has to actually.
Yep.
Okay, then maybe we need to look at moving that if they are not in compliance.
Give them
And that would be a good question for an attorney on whether you could do that as a penalty. I don't know. That would be a good attorney question.
Yeah, because I've been reading about it in different states, but I don't know, what Iowa has, if the state actually has it. But that way, we could, the classification would be if they are not. Because the problem is, the problem we had up there years ago, there were no consequences. She didn't have to post signs. She didn't have to muzzle her dog. She had the dog loose anyway. And it was a ticking time bomb. And it's like, what do you do, and what laws can you pull out of the hat in that case, because the dog was going to bite somebody, and it would probably be, but,
And
yeah.
if I truly cared about my dog and it was listed at a level 3, and I didn't do all the compliance that I was supposed to do, knowing that my dog could be
Aggressive.
at
Right.
a level 4, so like that would get me a little more motivated to get all of that stuff done.
Absolutely, absolutely, because if the city wanted to get more in a position to declare a dog dangerous and seize them, or if they're in violation of non-compliant, or if they're non-compliant of whatever level they're supposed to be compliant with, the city might have the jurisdiction to go ahead and seize the dog too, because they're not playing.
And
That's
that
a
would
safety
have to
thing.
be specified in an ordinance.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, instead of sliding things to level 4, what if this might happen? I almost feel it would be better
So if
that
we
we would
would-
have more consequences
If we
for
would-
level 3.
right,
Hold
right.
people accountable.
And if we would write that ordinance under level 3,
Right.
that if you are not in compliance with the level 3 classification
Right.
for this dog after X number of days, then this dog can automatically be classified as a level 4 and will
Absolutely.
be seized off of your property.
Absolutely.
And that way it's cut and dried.
That way, the
And-
majority of it's going to go to level 3, no matter what. But this may give you guys some more tools, because level 4, we're just taking the dog and euthanizing them. That's really the biggest difference.
Well, we hold it for 10 days. They have a 10-day appeal period to have a
Yeah.
district court judge
Right.
determine it, but.
So we need to put something in there that's gonna be cut and dried as far as, and get people a little more motivated to actually do what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah,
Um,
as owners.
Before that dog gets back out.
Yes.
Oh, well, it was cold
Mhm.
and I didn't have time to do the fence, I didn't have time to do this, and it was cold outside.
But this
and I
way,
couldn't-"
we've actually got some teeth to go in
Yes.
and protect the people from,
Right.
rather than just having this menace that
Right.
somebody's kind of apathetic about, so.
Until it kills another little dog.
Yeah, or
Because it got out.
bites, or
Well,
bites
the-
another
Or
kid,
the ground was frozen, so I couldn't build my fence.
yeah.
Well, okay, then you have to come up with another way to comply with level 3.
Yeah,
And excuse after excuse after excuse. I mean, how long are we gonna go, how
Back
long
and
is that
forth.
okay?
Yeah.
Until it bites somebody else, then we can classify it as a level 4?
wiggle room gives people, or level 3 gives people wiggle room to
Right.
get their act together. But we need to have more of a,
Of a consequence
it,
after
and a
that.
more immediate thing, because it's just too much of a safety thing. And it's, the problem, the risks that we have if you're gonna, you know, is this bite bad enough that it's gonna be this or that, and go to a doctor, I would hate to see it, you know, looked at like that as, you know, the major way that we wind up looking at level 4. I think the state code is actually closer to what we had in mind initially about what level 4 should be, something quite catastrophic, and nobody, you know, questions it. Level 3, it should not happen again, but we should be able to put things in place. That, you
And
know,
you're talking the definition of an injury?
yeah.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, because the state code, you wouldn't want to go by the
Oh,
state code.
it's
for
like, yeah,
dogs in the
basically,
city,
no,
because it's not nice.
I know, it's like absolutely catastrophic, but that's when you're gonna say a dog is automatically a level 4. This dog is, you know, just as shy of being,
Ripped his face off.
yeah, rabid and, you know, killing everybody so it's got to be an animal that's extreme to not really be given any other. And I don't think we've really had many level 4s. A lot of the dogs are level 3 that we wind up getting compliance, and it's,
Too, but I need to run this by a city attorney.
There
Absolutely.
may be some Supreme Court decisions that I'm not aware
yeah,
of
oh,
that
yeah, yeah.
prohibit us from issuing a punishment and then going back and retroactively making it worse. That would be a good attorney question.
Yeah, would non-compliance qualify to move it up a level? I don't know.
There's,
Yeah.
there's
Sure
one
find
state
out.
Yeah.
that has, but I'm not sure which state it is, and every state's different, so all it would matter would be Iowa, really.
Okay.
But I know some other states have done that non-compliance does bump you up
Okay.
on the level ordinance.
Good.
And what we would do, you know, on our end of things, to see if we have somebody that is continually in violation, is refusing to get, that's where we would then
Yeah.
ask the judge
Mhm.
to just
Yeah.
issue an order that the dog be impounded
Exactly.
and euthanized.
Yeah.
Because obviously a fine isn't working, and so
Yeah.
Well, the city has to do something about their liability. We gotta, you know, do something if our rules aren't, so, you know, if in the name of public health, we need to seize the dog. You know, that would probably,
yeah. Yeah, and at the
Let's
end of the
do
day,
it.
the city wouldn't be liable unless we just did
No.
nothing.
Yeah.
right,
You know?
Yeah.
but we
Yeah.
need the tools to make sure that nobody else gets
But
hurt.
if we've classified that dog as a level 3, and we never follow up on it, we never follow up to make sure that they're complying with what our level 3s are, we never check on that dog, then the city is liable.
This is why compliance is utterly critical about
Mm-hmm.
this. And consequences
dog
actually
gets-
have some consequences.
If that dog gets out, bites, and tears somebody else up,
Yep,
and we never followed up on it, we never made sure that that dog was complying with level 3s, then yeah, the city is liable. So, there has to be consequences.
mhm.
Let's table this again until next, I mean, we've got a pretty good ordinance. We don't wanna rush into this without getting it correct. So let's follow with attorney and, bring it up next time and see if we can get some final language.
Okay.
And then we'll also decide whether to put levels of bites in the language or not, and does it help or not? And
I guess that would be, I mean, would that help
And
you?
that, as long as it's defined.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
this.
So as long as you define it, what a shallow puncture is, and then in the code, reference to shallow puncture,
Yeah.
as long as it's defined and easily understandable by a lay person,
Okay.
yeah, I mean, as long as it's
It would
defined.
help. I
So
mean,
it
whatever's
isn't
gonna help you
arbitrarily
guys.
Yeah,
defined by whoever's investigating.
Right.
we just don't want a situation where it's gonna be a bite that, because of this picture, this dog's gotta be destroyed, you know?
Yeah.
We just really need to make it clear cut enough that, what was good, because pushing them to level 4, that's just, it needs to be done in a lot of cases, I know, or in some cases, but, yeah, I just really feel awful about just rushing into that. But I do think the consequences
we
we
have
have.
to have the consequences. I think that needs to be
Absolutely.
spelled out. 'cause-
Absolutely, that's been one of the things that the situation I had up there was like 15 years ago.
Yeah,
And that, until that situation just ended, we really didn't have a good recourse for that. So the enforcement of level 3 in particular, that's really, I agree, that's,
And that's where it needs an attorney, because since dogs
Yeah.
are property,
Yeah.
right, right.
you know, as the government, we're gonna come in and take your property, well, technically, you need a warrant
Yeah,
to do
exactly.
that. And, you'll need a court order to destroy that property, so,
yeah.
Depending on what we
Very
have
good
written in the
question.
statute, and what, like I say, there's several states that are kind of doing that, but it's all different. But yeah, I think it would be worth looking into, and then if we could put it in our code, that way we wouldn't have to just, sit and wait. If that was, something that was an extended arm, that if they're not in compliance, the city needs to seize the dog for the well-being of the.
And then we need to decide, do they get a warning? And then after the second warning, then it goes up a classification, or is it an automatic? Okay, you did not comply.
in the interest of enforcement, if you step your levels of severity, it works out better in the end. Especially if you're trying to get the sympathy of a judge to lean your way.
Right.
If you just go
So you,
hard
Right,
nosed
right.
right out of the
you were
gate,
given
they're-
you were
they're-
given 14 days to get
Yeah.
this dog
Yes.
in compliance. And after 14 days, we check, you're gonna get a $150 fine. After 30 days, if you're still not in compliance, then the dog moves to level 4.
Mhm.
So you get one warning, but it's gotta be a worthy fine. I mean, it's gotta be enough that's gonna hurt.
Yeah.
Well, and we can fine up to $750 on the first offense for municipal infraction.
Okay,
Okay.
And it might have went up.
I think
Is it
you
1,000 now?
start with that. You can always go down.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
dealing with nuisances in Garner, we'd always write 750, but if they made it, if they got it done within X amount of days of the court date, then we just bumped it down to 250. So you can always go down and use high to get somebody.
So that's a good idea.
that is a
So
very good
that's, I mean,
idea.
because if I saw that on there, I'm gonna be a little more willing to comply rather
Yeah.
than, no, I'm
Not
gonna have
do
a
it.
$750 fine that I'm gonna have to pay.
Yeah.
Try to get it precise enough so this does not become a tome.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll see what,
Okay.
and consequences that we actually have got the legal wherewithal to enforce, as far as like keeping them in compliance.
Mm-hmm.
But that might solve a lot of problems right there.
Well, we'll move on to item 2. Dog park annexation. Do you have any updates, Adam, on
Yeah.
that?
So, we did get the deed from the county, no ties or anything like that, so I'll have it in the next council meeting, for approval. Shouldn't be controversial at that point. And then pipeline concerns, probably what would happen is if there's an incident, in the pipeline people, contractors needed to get into it, it'd be at our own expense if they had to take the fence down, but they're not opposed, they just warn,
So we can go over top of it.
correct.
Do we need to put a fence around their,
I would.
those things that just stick out
That
like
stick
that?
out around, the markers,
Yeah.
I probably would, so that dogs don't destroy it.
Correct.
Cover a
correct.
few trees and stuff
So-
too, so. Okay, so we can go ahead and put the diagram out as we want it then.
Correct. Correct.
Okay, as long as we don't put concrete right over the
Correct.
spot.
Correct. Yep. Yep.
Okay, and when we dig those posts, we'll still need to contact them, each company,
Do a one call.
So you do, yeah, one call, 811, they'll locate the utilities, yes.
Good, so we can proceed then. Let's see, 3 readings will take us just past our next meeting, won't it?
To accept the deed, we could do at that meeting, so it's an ordinance or it's 3 readings,
Oh,
so it just one shot.
okay. Do you want me present or not?
Not necessarily. The only thing they'll want to know once you guys have plans for what to do, they'll want to see those. But at this point, just to accept the land, no. I mean, we're already mowing it, so it's
Yep.
not like you're
Right.
from that perspective, you're not creating any extra
Extra.
work or anything.
Yeah.
So
Good.
So.
Okay.
and then for D, I do want to ask you about. Melissa was approached just today. I know we talked about what to do potentially with, say, memorial benches and whatnot.
Yeah.
So our direction was with that family was when they came to City Hall was to talk with her. Well, they didn't until today, and it's already been ordered. So, I guess I'm asking for, staff is asking for backing and how you want to proceed. We don't really have a policy that says we won't accept it. At some point we probably will, because, 1 or 2 is fine, but after a while it'll start, things
Yeah.
won't
Here comes the
mismatch, or they
furniture.
won't,
Yeah,
we ran into that
Last year.
in Garner, so I guess I'm seeking direction whether we just let it slide or whether we're affirm you've got to use the benches we already have at Public Works for the memorial benches. So we don't have an issue saying no, but we also don't have a policy in place to say this is our direction too. So, I guess I'm seeking your guys'
They
feedback.
wanna buy their own bench,
There
is
you
that
go.
what?
They already bought it. That's
That's
I'd say it's a gift
Yeah.
to the city.
Well,
so.
we do have,
We don't have to accept it though either.
Yeah.
Right.
So
coming
it's-
up, we have more space.
Yeah.
So we probably can use another bench.
Yeah.
So at this point, we probably can accept this one.
and that's okay too. The design I think is a sports team. So just an FYI, when they talk to me, it could have changed. I haven't seen the
Won't match
final
with anything.
designs, but
So it won't match with,
it's not.
so I guess that's the main point. And do we want a public land saying we support X team
Yeah.
over another?
Yeah,
So that's
I-
where my worry. It's not like it's pink or something. It's
no, but
Otherwise
Yeah.
offending
Yeah.
their sensibilities.
so.
and it's on public ground. So
Yeah.
If they would've just had a
Correct.
plain,
Bench with a,
Correct.
See, would I take offense if it's not a twins bench or something?
So that's
That does kind of make it a little bit more.
that
Do
makes
they
it a
have
little,
Yeah.
Shadow's name on it also?
I don't know. I don't know what their plans were. I just know he
I thought that was
was
appropriate anyway.
favorite football team. I think was Dallas Cowboys.
Yes.
So I think it was a Dallas Cowboys bench. And maybe it's just a small logo and we can get away with it. But I have a feeling it'll probably be like blue and
yeah,
silver all over. That would be my guess.
I don't know, there's enough people in town that are gonna be motivated to go deface it or something,
but
yeah, but if somebody else.
do we want to
That's-
start that?
Yeah.
No, that's.
I mean,
Yeah,
Especially
Especially if they have
like
to say no to
come and ask
somebody.
us what would be good for our park.
That would
It's-
be welcome information if they'd like to run it past us and we could help explain the things that would probably be
It's-
more likely to be.
Yeah,
accepted.
and that's the issue. Well, what happens, when there's
Somebody-
a 49ers fan or whatever that wants to do the same
And then
thing.
we could have,
Or if it was just
A whole
like
bunch
on the
of-
plaque,
Yeah.
on a wooden bench, that would be with the name.
So,
I mean, if they wanna do a regular bench, they could do a plaque with his
Yeah.
name and a cowboy star, whatever, on his plaque,
Yeah.
and not a whole.
Yeah, this one's already purchased, so it's a matter of do we
Jeez,
accept
that
it.
was awkward. That's kind of
That puts us
presumptuous.
in a really.
Yep.
That's kind of
Yeah.
presumptuous.
I guess
it
as
does,
long as
which is why I'd prefer something to be in a policy. So even if it's just one page, something simple, like
It definitely
you gotta go through the appropriate commission first before
Yeah,
a
before
donation
approval.
is accepted.
But wouldn't that be for all the city parks? What if Veronic Park was getting a donation like that?
Correct. It'd go to Park and Rec Commission.
Okay.
But
So this should be the same
most
kind
people
of
do
thing.
check with the city before ordering.
Yeah,
So could we arrange that if, as long as it's not garish, we'd accept it?
Yeah, you can give me that direction, that's fine.
yeah, we'll
Sound
give you
good?
that direction. But in
As long as it's not
yeah.
the whole bench,
Yeah,
If-
I'm really against the whole,
yeah.
I'll try and get a picture of it, and then if it seems worthy, we can wait until next month too. Hopefully, by the picture, I'll be able to tell whether it's way out of line or just something that can slide by for this time.
So
Yeah.
would the city handle it any different if, say, it was going to Veronic Park, or?
Would you allow?
Yes,
something like that?
because we don't have a policy in place.
So you would find the same thing, kick down the can, kicking the can down the road.
So the policy would be some sort of all-encompassing, whatever, the applicable commission that's getting the donation would need to oversee,
Yeah.
the permit or whatever form request
Well,
first.
Park and Rec probably needs to put something into, in on theirs, because that should be ultimately where, donations of, benches or stuff like that could be, used in other parks other than just the dog park.
Correct.
That should apply to all of them, so if there was.
A blanket policy. You need a
Yeah,
blanket
exactly,
policy.
and I would think Melissa would probably be.
Correct.
And whatever policy they would have, that would dictate, what we could put out there as far as benches, and that would take care of that. But, yeah, I'd probably see just how bad it is.
Can do.
Could it be something like where if we're looking for some sort of uniformity moving forward, putting together a policy, like we could have this bench kind of grandfathered in and have it outside of the park, like in the parking area or at the entrance, and then something else like further down the road?
I don't
I'm
know
just
if we
trying
have
to
that
think
much.
yeah, I'm
room.
trying to think of because that's
We hide it.
that's gonna be
Yeah, exactly,
that's
and then
gonna
suddenly
be
it's gone
yeah.
one day.
Yeah,
Actually,
too.
this is a triangle, and it gets pretty narrow at the far end, and
Sure.
it goes down there. There's a place for it.
corner that off a bit, yeah.
Where we put the Cowboys.
Right.
So probably our policy
Yeah.
should be that they should be in compliance with the rest of
Or
the
uniformed
benches.
with the
uniformed,
rest of the benches.
And
Yep.
they can be creative with the plaques. The plaques.
Yeah.
Like your signs, I
Yep.
mean, all the signs are the same for every park, so.
Correct. No, correct, and that makes sense. So, yeah,
Or
we
if
just
people would wanna buy them from the city, if we had a place that we could get them in, we knew pretty much what the consistency of the
yeah,
pattern was.
yeah. 'Cause
And
we
they
have
never-
a couple just sitting at Public Works for generally for that case. We
Mhm.
just don't necessarily have a form or a policy, which makes it clear and it's easier to point towards a policy or a form
Yeah.
when somebody does this. It's just it goes smoother when it's like, oh, it's already an established policy. Yep.
Yeah.
I also, I don't always like to have paper to have it, but sometimes in those awkward situations,
Oh, gosh,
it
it
kind
helps.
of captures it right away. So,
But if we had something uniform that we could, if people wanted to, purchase and put in there, and then have like a plaque or something commemorating, that might be an option too, and that way it would all be kind of uniform.
That gives
Yeah.
them a little bit of creativity.
Yeah.
Exactly,
They can be
exactly.
creative with the plaque, they can put the star, or they can
But
put
it would be
a
consistent.
picture of the dog, but
Yeah.
at least the
Yeah.
bench looks the same
Yeah,
as all the other benches.
yeah, I think that, but yeah, Melissa would probably be
Yep.
tuned into that too.
And then if we accept it this time,
We gotta do it next time.
what's the next person is gonna,
well, I think that's the point of having a policy and a form in
Exactly.
Yeah.
place, because then
Exactly,
you
we
could.
can point to that.
So,
I hate to do that.
So we've had the discussion, so it'll be in the minutes. So, so we can go back on that. So, okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Yep.
So now we gotta start
Yeah, but-
fundraising?
No,
Ah,
well, that's two more steps down the road. Because, first of all, we need to make a design. And so we probably should decide when's best to go out there and look at it and decide where the entrance should be and how big and concrete
wanna do
floor,
it.
things like that.
Our next
Do it
meeting out
during
there?
spring cleanup,
When do we have the spring cleanup? Did we get that?
should be soon, we need to make a
About,
date. Are you gonna be here?
About Somebody missed last year.
I missed last year. I wasn't here.
I wasn't here either.
Yeah, we both are gone. But I made my
Let's,
son go,
um,
so.
we could have our spring cleanup and make that design, and then next steps would be to get some bids. I did look at making it no-mow.
May 10th. May 10th.
That gonna cost approximately $2,000. So that would be factored in too, so,
You know if you're expanding the parking lot or not, or
No.
gravel?
No, I
we
mean,
discussed that and decided probably not.
no.
Cause that would probably potentially, trigger, stormwater stuff, so
Yeah, I
that's
know.
easier on your end if you're not, so.
Yeah. Well, I don't,
I think there's
should we
plenty.
plan
think
for our next meeting to be out there at the park
Yeah,
then?
why
May
not?
10th.
Okay.
I
We
am
can
here.
just clean up while we're there?
Yep, exactly.
I am here.
And it's incentive, well, we'll have some more information on the ordinance thing, and we can
Yeah.
cover that out there. And we can go under the roof if we need to.
Yep.
Bad weather, I guess if it's bad weather, we'll know a day ahead of time when we'll bring it back in here.
Okay.
Do we wanna start a little earlier, like at 6 instead of 6:30?
Recorded there, right?
No, in a month from now, it's gonna be light until 9.
No, well, maybe city policy has to be,
Yeah,
not state law yet.
Yep.
Everything has to be recorded, yes, and there'll be notes and agenda. But technically,
people
not
out there.
everything needs to be videotaped.
That's
We
right.
just do it for transparency reasons, so, and it's just easier to go back
Mhm.
to get the,
Is there any other business, or,
Old business?
old business, I mean?
police report, you forgot police report? No
Police report,
That's a new
no,
business, we're gonna start that now.
Okay.
oh, gosh.
So, police report,
Nothing exciting here, nothing to report.
Darn.
This kind of
Okay.
nice weather and we've had no dog
All right.
bites. What
is there
wrong
any
with
other new
this
business?
Nope.
Then we'll plan for our next meeting date at the park unless we look at bad weather. And we'll work on this ordinance thing. And we'll work on design out there, and from there we'll get some bids, and then we just go into the fundraising and so.
house? The more the merrier.
Move to adjourn?
Move to adjourn?
Second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting's over, thank you.